Uh, Very good morning, everybody, and I thank this forum for giving this opportunity to present before all of you this uh, topic of diligence in department proceedings, which I would be sharing more from the practical experience perspective per se. At the outset, I would like to dedicate this whole session today to my guru, mentor, Sri Jatin Christopher sir, without whose guidance and support, I would not have taken this journey at all. Most of the things what I'm sharing today is my learnings either from the sessions what I've heard from Jatin sir or from the show cause notice book and many more things. But then why I am presenting today is I want to say that it has been more like a baby's day out story for me, wherein, the baby hears the stories from the nanny, and once it gets into the outside world, it experiences the same thing. It has been something similar, wherein whatever I've read and understood, when I've practically implemented, I've seen wonders and magic which has happened. And that is the reason with which I'm going to present my learnings today, my mistakes, what I did today, and all of that, probably with an intention to motivate and inspire a lot of young professionals who are part of our group to say that yes, this route of GST litigation is very much possible, and we can see a huge lot of a success in this line as well, where it is possible through a clean GST litigation practice. With this purpose, I'm going to present today my learnings, my mistakes, and some practical insights about when we do up, things practically, some portal knowledge, how it helps us, how we can add value. So this is the whole coverage in today's session. I want to stop sharing my screen before I set the preface for this. Uh, yeah. So, I've kind of interacted with many professionals, especially the people who have come into practice recently with few years and time. And most of them have expressed, like, it is getting saturated day in, day out, the same returns we are filing. And whom are we even competing with? The tax consultants who have a better turnover than we do. Ultimately, it comes to a question where we think about what are we really doing. And I feel that we all are very fortunate enough to be part of this study group and also be associated with our wonderful mentors who are just a call away or a message away. I think we are very, very fortunate, and they go to an extent of helping us to such an extent. And I think we have to take this call about taking this path of GST litigation in a cleaner way, as as I would like to present per se. Now, some of the learnings what I had after getting associated with this group, with Jatin sir, Madhukar sir, and all that. Initially, I was always a compliance oriented person. My most presentations revolved around returns, configurations, and all of this. I also thoroughly enjoyed all that, but I feel no knowledge in GST goes waste. And today, with the grip I have in returns and those related areas, the portal knowledge and all that, uh, I feel more confident, and lot. I can strategize the things better in a better manner. But then some decisions I took because of the learnings I had with the association of our mentors is that most of the times we are very much desperate to bag clients. But then if we focus on the value addition of the services, and also if we kind of filter up or delegate or giving away assignments probably which is not worth our time, or we have crossed all of that, I think it gives us a lot of time to spend on knowledge enhancement, and also spend more time for the cases which we have taken up, so that we can actually do justice to it, learn a lot from it, and enjoy the work what we are doing. I've heard Jatin sir saying that decision making about any tax payment should be of the client, and we should help the client to make a informed decision making, but the actual decision making should always be of the client. Before understanding these significant aspects, it always like happens like, client simply asks whether I should pay tax or not pay tax. But then this learning was so very important that we should give this decision to the client, not half-heartedly but full-heartedly, because many a times we are also kind of maybe wanting to hear that, let client say, okay, let this be settled. Maybe we ask with a half-hearted approach, but then putting up with conviction and giving him the course of action, what happens next if this path is chosen, where do we land, what are the pros and cons. I think with this information what we give to the client, how the case might progress, this might help him to make the decision. I've practically seen that they come to they come to this zone where they say that I want to legally address this issue. I place trust on you, please proceed. I've seen this in n number of cases, and I think that's a very critical aspect about allowing this decision to be made by the client. The next important learning I had was about how to devise strategy for each case. No, merits approach, technical approach. It is not that once we start with a particular approach, we continue it till the end. Strategy swap during various phases of the proceedings. Initial we start with maybe merits, then it didn't work, then we are going to take the technical ground, or we are taking technical ground without prejudice grounds as well. So these things were also a wonderful learning for me to understand what is the right point in time to take up this strategy swap as the proceedings proceed further. And every assignment, I kind of accept it with an intention to do complete justification to it. Now, what is complete justification? It is not that let me get a case for litigation to take it up to the tribunal. I, I'm giving it a thought that what is the earliest phase I can finish this. I mean, I can do justice by getting this, proceeding closed with absolutely the legal framework, and it has done wonders. As I take you through the presentation, I'm going to share various cases how things worked in the proceedings. And of course, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, I mean, ಇವತ್ತೇ ಡ್ರಾ ಇವತ್ತೇ ಬಹುಮಾನ. That doesn't work in GST. Litigations is of course a patience game. I've seen so many cases where the of departmental officials, the moment the client starts interacting with them, hundreds of calls they will make. The moment we give it a professional and legal approach, questioning certain things, immediately calls stops, and probably they have so many other things to do. Our file goes down into the stack of the files, and finally I've seen so many matters where now even under 74 the time is barred for 17 18, and still orders have not been passed. So absolutely patience is the key in GST litigation. Not that every case will get resolved only at the tribunal stage or the first appeal stage. Personally have seen lot of cases even getting dropped at ASMT 12 being issued. I think every case has to be given a thought about what strategy works. That is something I learned in my journey of this get embracing into GST litigation. Now, Mistakes what I did, not couple, quite a few, wherein as we practically handle things, we realize what mistakes we did, how we could have addressed it better. Probably if that was not done, then this would not have reached this appeal stage and all of those things. Initially, we were all excited with the show cause notice book and all the technical grounds, proper officer, 2A, 3B technical grounds. So I always thought that if any such notices comes, applying those technical grounds universally is the approach. But I was wrong in understanding so. The approach what we should take is what works, and not a universal or a single kind of an approach where it cannot be a universal medicine for every problem that comes in. So it has to be diagnosed, and based on the various we must exercise our professional judgment probably in the knowledge we have, and then decide what actually works for this case. The second mistake I used to do was giving a lot of details without evaluating the implication of shift of onus. Thanks to Jatin sir for coming out with so many reading materials for us. The search and seizure, book of ICI, where sir has discussed about this implication of burden of proof versus shift of onus and all of those things. Then we realize how case can go detrimental, how we are doing more harm to the client by disclosing all these additional details, although we are not required in law to produce all of these things. And the third aspect I want to discuss here is about the data source. Initially, when an audit assignment is being allocated and data source, we generally the team prepares all of these details of the data source, wherein whatever the register, sales registers, ITC register, commonly whatever is asked, team prepares these things. While I'm sure a lot of human errors would have happened while data entry, ITC, same invoice, it is reflecting in 2A, but 265 is noted as 26. Yes, yes, something like that has happened. And while pulling out the data and producing before the department, only values were checked. These invoice numbers, all those details were not checked. And although, I mean, here I want to say that, Sir's book has the first sentence which says that truth does not matter, facts do. Now, the truth is that this invoice is reflected into a, but there has been a typographical error while feeding the data in the books of accounts. The fact is that the officer has said that your own ITC register you have produced and that invoice number is incorrect. Now, how do I accept that it is an typographical error? Now that has come till the adjudication order also has been passed. The point I'm trying to drive here is that most of the times we pull out the data from books of accounts, which is right to do so, but with this sophistication or with this complication in the problem, what we have tried doing is, although we do a mapping to GSTR2A, but while fetching the details, we apply a VLOOKUP and extract the details from 2A to rule these typographical errors unnecessary. Otherwise, it is carrying us through the litigation, because these things, I'm sure we are delegating it to our team, and if we don't ask the people reviewing this to check this, it is going to land in trouble. Although legitimately nothing is payable, but we have to prove that, and proving that using this route, I'm sure it is a lot of challenging. So probably this was couple of learning. Similarly, GSTR1 data is fetched because invoice numbers, just in case if they're manually altered, I don't know what would have happened. Better to do a sanity check of these things, do a VLOOKUP, and then kind of present it from the portal data, just to avoid these things elevating to the further stage of litigation. The next thing, the kind of mistakes we used to do is selecting the sample documents for submission during audit. If we ask the client, accountants, or our own team members to, because when they'll ask for copies of invoices, copies of transactions, they kind of used to give all varieties of transactions. Some are complicated to understand and comprehend also. So take any inward supply documents for that matter. Let's say some AMC related thing where in the books of accounts it is charged off as, it is reported as prepaid expenses, and that would, for at the adjudication level to explain that why it is not fully charged off in revenue, and all of those things were uh, uh, you know it is like we are raking up unnecessary issues and trying to address them. So then I learned that we should keep the selection of sample documents very simple. Anyways, we are required to give few sample out of the ITC register. Simple, understandable purchase transactions, some printing and stationery, some audit fee. Simple documents should be submitted, not the enthusiasm of submitting all variety of documents. Now, as the case progressed, the replies what we give, we learned that how it can lead to admission of certain things in the enthusiasm of giving explanation, giving replies, so as to explain ourselves better. Probably many times I've landed up in uh, admitting certain things which can take the case against. Now I'm going to discuss couple of the case studies also as I move further. But then uh, we are always, the tendency is to give lot of meticulously all the details, explanations and all that. But if I look at my older drafts when I started this journey, I can see that uh, how I have done mistakes in with an intention to explain and justify a point. It has ended up admitting certain things. A couple of case studies when I take up, I'm going to deal with all those things as well. And um, a few more learnings is like, a wrong strategy used. Maybe I did not judge it properly. I took a merits case instead of technical. I think merits would have worked in that case. Sometimes I took technical instead of merits, so vice versa. And I always thought once we start the strategy, the same needs to be continued. But then as things progresses, I'm sure the more we do, the more we get the grip over the matter. There is no substitute to taking up cases, doing it and learning. So then we get that kind of maturity to, decide about, do we continue with the same strategy or we change it and all of that. Another mistake I did was listening to the advice of officers. There was a refund matter wherein it was inverted duty structure. Some details were asked in RFD 8, those were submitted. Then officer did not accept our submissions and passed in RFD 6, rejecting the refund. So we were all preparing for the appeal. Then, while seeking a certified copy, the officer said, "Why are you going for appeal? File of PMT3, provide these details. I will, you can refile the refund application, and then I will look at all these things and consider," is what he said. I had never done this case wherein we file PMT3 and can we refile the application for the same period. Then one good thing what we did was we asked the officer to give in writing that this is possible. But I mean, but we basically by default we think that officers know law and we tend to accept their advices. But pathetically, after we filed PMT3, the portal did not allow filing refund under the same category for the same period. Thanks to that endorsement, what we got were a written kind of a direction we may call. So officer had stated that do file this and you can refile the this thing. But then we had to file it under other category, and a strong reply putting up all the facts and all that as if to prepare to high court submission, so that if this is denied under the other category, then ultimately we got the refund under the others category. But still, even today I feel that the category chosen is wrong. And if at all, I mean, anyways, that 6 months period is over. That's a different thing. That aspect also we will discuss in the incoming ensuing discussions. But the point I'm trying to drive here is we must never think that whatever officer suggests it is correct. Maybe he is right, but we must validate it within the framework of law whether it is right. In so probably if I'd asked my professional peers who would have had this practical experience, that situation would not have arisen. But then blindly I kind of tend to listening to that advice. The next important aspect, another mistake was, there was a personal hearing scheduled, and then it was in Bangalore. I'd come from Mysore to attend it, but then officers, there was officer was not available on that day. Just before going, I had to make a call to check, but then the officer said, "You can send the mail. I will consider. I'm not available today." Then I sent the mail. What mistake we did was we did not file a physical copy of the reply what we filed, and did not take the acknowledgement. It was just, somehow it went out of my mind. We just filed mail. It is all a simple matter wherein, some typographical errors in GST numbers had come in 2A, 3B, all of this. And I'm sure if that, submissions were considered, the demand would have been dropped. The mistake of what submission we didn't made, officer did not take note of it. Probably it missed her notice also, and she confirmed the demand. Now we are still contesting in appeal. And so this is one of the learnings which I had, that no matter what, we have to submit papers physically at the office and obtain acknowledgement, especially that has come to the adjudication stage, so that they will also not miss it out during passing of the order, because mail they might not connect and check if it misses out. One more aspect I've seen is, even while taking acknowledgement, it was in Bangalore, and I could not, personally arrange for somebody from our side to furnish the acknowledgement. I had informed client to guided him and said that this letter you take print and submit it over there. You know what? In acknowledgement, they have put the seal, they have not signed. So it is so important that even we recheck the acknowledgement also, and which officer has taken the acknowledgement, whether it is stamped, signed, dated, and all of these things. I think diligence is also required in these aspects. Thankfully, I immediately check, thanks to WhatsApp and all that, where we get instant things, they take a photo and post it. And so thanks that we checked it, and again he had to go and get the proper acknowledgement done. But these were a couple of mistakes what I did, and the learnings emerged therefrom. So that as we proceed further, we learn out of it, and it's okay to do new mistakes, but not repeat the old ones. Now, next point I would like to discuss is about how do we decide the strategy. Of course, a lot of, every case when it comes up, a lot of confusions arise in mind, which strategy to approach, whether we go with technical, whether we go with merits, and all of that. Simple principles I have kind of learned and adopted to decide what approach works. When there is no uh, case out of merits, when there is no case out of merits, anyways, either you have to give up the case or go on technical grounds. So better go with the technical grounds. Now, second situation where I would say that without any second thought, we should go with technical approaches. If more details are provided, now Pandora box will open, wherein some other issues are there. Those details are also unnecessary. Attention is drawn and all that. So better to take the technical approach. And the third aspect is that you can make the persons who have really slept, you can wake them up. But persons who are simply acting that they're asleep, you can never wake them up. So if your gut feeling is that no matter how much details you provide, this officer is not going to be satisfied, then I mean, don't take me the other meaning of the word satisfy. I'm purely talking about the legal and framework with which we can approach this litigation uh, area. So when we sense that whatever details are also given, it is not going to satisfy, instead of introducing so much of additional material and shifting onus to us, it is better to carry out through the technical approach. Of course, the key in technical approaches, Bhagwan ke ghar mein der hai, andher nahi. We may have to carry it out through the next levels of the proceeding. Technical approach, it is very difficult to expect relief at the early stage. So I think with this evaluation of pros and cons, we may decide whether it is technical approach. Now, merits approach. Thanks to all these softwares where we get instantaneous reports, few clicks, 5 to 10 minutes, we can download the whole reports about the whole year of a client, multiple years, and all of that. If we kind of master the skill of analyzing and deciphering from these software reports, many times we are able to diagnose the issue very quickly. And definitely, this is one area where I feel good about it, that initially I spent a lot of time about understanding returns, getting grip over it, and all that, even the portal related information and all that. Wherein merits approach, it helps very quickly, wherein at the early stages, ASMT 10 stage, adjudication stage, many times merits works very easily. You know, there are officers who will accept documents and give us the relief. We cannot generalize it that way. And absolutely, I think these things, if we can able to diagnose looking at the available data, if we can decipher using the software reports to figure out what exactly the issue, and this grip over returns and all that, and that sense of us, yes, by providing merits, details on merits, this will be acceptable. And what was more important was I learned this art of strategy swap. As the case progresses, we will get the sense of what is working and what is not working. So probably keeping a technical ground in our replies will help us to make this strategy swap, although we might have decided for merits, but including this, because ultimately we don't know how things will progress. We may get a sense of it, but ultimately things may even change. So playing it safe might be a good idea to keep all of these things. I think now I would share my screen. I would like to first start with the subject of appeals, rectification, and other communications, and then come back to scrutiny, audit, and adjudication. So I'm just swapping the order over here. Uh, the diligence that is required in during appeals. I'm sure most of us would have, as far as the number of cases we get increase, and we get engaged in many other things. Probably we delegate a whole lot of work to our team members. I mean, it is obviously we have to do that. It cannot be like everything we are going to do. And let's say when in drafting an appeal, the APL 1 annexure statement of facts and prayer is mostly taken care by the junior members in the team, and our whole focus would be primarily on the grounds part, deciding the strategy and all of that, including the aspect that making pre-deposits online, filing online appeals, all that is taken care by team. Probably some orientation with the team members will help a lot. I would say whenever we receive an order, one critical aspect about before proceeding with the draft is that mapping order with DRC 7. I want to share a practical instance what has happened, multiple instances for that matter, and then we've come up with this template so that we don't miss on this aspect. Many a times the demand value in the order is different from that of the DRC7. One of the major reasons for this is audit has been taken up for 5 years. Order is a single order, but DRC7 is multiple year wise. Now, human errors, there are 10 issues, 5 issues applicable to 1 year, 8 issues applicable to another year. All of these things are there. And while doing a mapping to DRC7, heads have changed, CGST became IGST, all of these things. So it is very important that we map OIO with DRC7. Why this activity is important? Because we are filing appeal against the impugned order, but through DRC7, because that is what the value the portal picks. Now imagine the demand in the impugned order is IGST, but in portal it has been uploaded as CGST, SGST, and we proceed with paying pre-deposit under the wrong heads. Tomorrow that it comes to the notice, the very admissibility of the appeal will be in question, or after after admission, probably again, if it is noticed at a later stage, because there is a precondition to filing appeal that pre-deposit has to be paid to the disputed demand under the respective heads. A head swap cannot be acceptable for admitting the appeal. So I'm just going to share this template. Now, this is the issue for the various years. Venu sir, my screen is visible, not visible?
Not visible, madam.
Okay, okay. Now, sir?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, okay. So, if you look at this, this is a or impugned order issued for 3 years, single order issued, where they would just say issue 1 to 8, issue wise value will be consolidated in impugned order. But when it comes to DRC 7, they will do a year wise summary. Now, all issues might not have been part of all years. That is where the issue would be, and there would be errors. Now, to your question, Venu sir, which one will prevail? Obviously, we are contesting, or the appeal is being filed against the impugned order. So that is, this is only DRC7 is only an electronic summary of the order. So obviously we will have to file a rectification application, get DRC7 match it to OIO, and then make the pre-deposit and file the return. Otherwise, the risk what I shared would prevail. So we have made this kind of a format where we will map as per SCN what is the issue, any relief is given, and finally what happened as per the order. Now, I'm sure by using pivot table, we just select all of this and use pivot table. And then when we give the year wise, what I need is tax period wise. So once I use this pivot table tax period wise, I will get to know what is the year wise summary. I think it's a simple technique of mapping. I just wanted to demonstrate a simple thing wherein using pivot table, making this issue stable, we can cross check whether DRC7 has been properly done or not. So the next important aspect I would like to place for your consideration is pre-deposit is something, outsourced, or sorry, delegated to the team members, and no much attention is paid. It is like done with a very routine way. But so much diligence is required even while making pre-deposit, and so much value addition is also required, is also possible while making pre-deposit. I just want to share a case wherein again, it was a matter wherein 5 years DRC7 was issued, and single impugned OIO was single OIO was issued. Now, while filing this, they had some balance in the credit ledgers. Thanks to the new rule, we all know that most of the cases, limited balance will be there in IGST and CGST heads, and SGST head would be more. Correct, right? I hope all of you concur to this, because that's how the auto set off in 3B lands as that. It will first utilize from CGST if a manual offset is not done to ensure balance in both the ledgers. I think most of the cases, what I've practically seen is nobody has time and patience to do all that manual offset. They simply go with the system generated offset and go about. Of course, in certain scenarios, even manually also, it is not possible to adjust, leading to imbalance in credit balances in the various heads. Now we understand that the with the change in the rule which happened long ago. First, we have to empty the IGST. Correct. This is correct. Now, if there is IGST liability and CGST, SGST liability, I have to use IGST ITC to offset IGST liability. I cannot, let's say I have lot of SGST balance. So let me use SGST credit to offset IGST liability. No, system will not allow. If there is IGST liability and if there is IGST credit, first it has to be offset for IGST only, and then balance, then we may choose, whether with CGST or SGST. Now, another situation is there is CGST, SGST, ITC, and there is IGST liability. Then any of the two can be used. I know these simple principles, I've just put it up on the slide. I want to show you an example of what happened by this analysis. Now, there was this demand and there was this total pre-deposit which was required to be made. There was some, balances in the electronic credit ledger like this. If we had not optimized the utilization of this credits, client was required to pay some 6-7 lakhs in cash, the pre-deposit. But after we decided the sequence of filing the making this pre-deposit appropriation, now for example, if we see here 1920 we did it first, then we did 1819, then we did 1718. So because of this, only 2000 change was uh, uh, discharged using cash. Everything else we could manage it through credit ledger. It's a small, I mean, here the values might not be large, but then there may be cases where there is huge amount of credits, but still owing to this offset philosophy, we are not able to utilize it. Probably sequencing our appeals is also something we can think about to optimize the utilization of credit balances. This is something I learned and we implemented. It's a sense of satisfaction that we could add value in this. Now, the next important aspect I want to bring to your consideration over here. We already discussed that it is always important to map OIO versus DRC7, and if there are differences, we have to file a rectification to, get the right values in DRC7. And if we don't get the rectification within the time, then withdraw that rectification application and manually adjust the pre-deposits in such a way that we pay under the right head, probably even paying under the wrong head, which has come in the DRC7, because in DRC7, you have to alter, in APL1, you have to alter only the percentage of pre-deposit. You can't manually alter the values per se. Through percentage, you can do it. So, but then this care has to be taken. Now, second important aspect is gross demand versus net demand. I want to take another example over here. You look at this common issue 3B versus 2A and one credit note reversal. The gross demand is 19.81 lakhs. Then during the adjudication, the assessee has filed, the noticee has filed 4 DRC3s, voluntarily hoping to get the relief. But then after getting all this paid, the entire demand was confirmed. Now the order first says this gross demand, then says one of the DRC3s is appropriated, other 3 are not considered. And then the demand in DRC7 is arrived here. Friends, what do you think should be the value of pre-deposit we must make?
Can you say it again?
So there is this gross demand of 19.81 lakhs in the order. 1.23 lakhs of payment has been made through DRC3. There are other payments also, but officer has not considered that. In the order, it says this 1.23 lakhs is appropriated and DRC7 is issued for 18,58,000. Now, if you don't evaluate all this, just go with the flow of the portal. Obviously, 10% will be pulled up in APL1 based on DRC7, which is on 18.58 lakhs. Would we be correct in doing so, or how do we proceed? Now, issue is common issue. It is not like multiple issue wherein one issue is dropped and another issue is continued. It's a common issue of 3B2A. Part payment is made in DRC3. Balance is contested. Would we be right in doing this pre-deposit only going with the DRC7?
So if the DRC03 is not appropriated by the officer, that itself you can take it as a, like out of 18 lakhs, 1.6 is not appropriated. Rather on the 16 lakhs paying 1.6 lakhs, you can appropriate 1.6, 10% and pay only 20K.
No,
Wouldn't
no,
that be a
correct.
better
See,
thing?
now, what we will do is different. Now, first thing is how much pre-deposit should we make?
Since
On
the
what value should we make?
Since the DRC03 is not appropriated, it should be on the gross value.
Now this same example what I've taken, there are 4 DRC3s. One of it is appropriated. 19.81 is the gross demand. 1.23 is stated to be appropriated in the order, and demand in DRC7 is reduced to 18.58.
Okay, then on 18.58.
I think this we are going to keep the risk high by doing so, because we are contesting the entire demand. It is not an admitted demand. It is entirely a disputed demand, because issue is single. How can we say that part of it we are contesting? So I think there are niceties involved in it, and we would be posing to a great risk if we simply go with demand in DRC7. Now, what is the meaning of appropriation? Merely reducing value in DRC7, will it tantamount to appropriation by the officer? Because if you map even this appropriated DRC3, it will allow mapping through DRC3A. So friends, the point I'm trying to drive here is always we must make pre-deposit on a gross demand if the issue is contested and carried through. Now, mapping the DRC3 payments through DRC3A for making pre-deposit, the point which you just raised, Venu sir, I just want to give it some thought about this.
Can you walk us through the legality of what you just said? What is the law saying?
The law is saying that pre-deposit should be made of 10% of the disputed demand and 100% of the undisputed demand. Now, the question is, what is the disputed demand? Is it the gross demand or is it the net demand?
What is this appropriation about?
See, whenever the officer passes an order, first he will issue an order demanding the gross value of gross value. Like in the whole difference between 2A, 3B, what they have identified is 19.76 lakhs under each head. Okay. Now, during adjudication, some reconciliations were done and some part of the payment was done, identifying that the other party has not paid, all of those things. So
then the disputed becomes less by what has already been paid, right?
No, the point is that, let's say, we are denying this whole aspect and we are contesting the whole demand.
So what is it that we have paid already?
What
is it that has already been paid about?
Correct. I made some payments, but unless it is not
That
contested,
means it
it
is
doesn't
admitted,
become
no?
final. No. See, DRC3 payments, even if DRC4 acceptance is done, it doesn't become final unless we accept it to be a final payment on thereon. If we are contesting the issue, can we say that we are only contesting the part issue? I'll tell you what is the issue. 3B2A difference has been identified. Out of 12 months, 4 months, 3B is less, 3B is more, 2A is less. In balance months, 3B is less and 2B is more, 2A is more. Okay. Now, officer has cherry picked the months just to put up this demand. There are some differences. That is a different aspect altogether. Let's say they are going to take solely the technical ground, questioning the way in which proceedings is conducted, wherein data differences of only specific months have been picked to the advantage of the revenue, ignoring the other months where balances have been high. There is no requirement in the law because this is a year pertaining 2021, wherein this concept of claim as per to be temporarily reverse and reclaim, this was not there to map it month on month to go with it. So we are contesting the entire demand, wherein the way in which it is taken up is that they have only cherry picked these differences to the advantage of the revenue. No,
But what is
this
the
thing,
amount that has been paid then? 1,23,000 that I'm able to
correct.
see.
That's whatever is highlighted in green is paid. So the net demand is 18.58. If we are contesting the whole issue over here, then we have to pay a pre-deposit. It's a simple point. I mean, let's not get carried away by the numbers presented over here. The simple point to drive home is that pre-deposit needs to be done on the gross demand and not the net demand if you're contesting at the issue level. That's the point. The next aspect here is mapping the DRC3 payments through DRC3A. Now, if we look at rule
One
142,
moment, let's just relook at that example. The amounts here are, let's say, you're talking about 18 lakh, 19 lakh, it doesn't make a difference. But let's say the amounts are in crores, right?
no, 1 second. Why do you think it doesn't make a difference? You imagine this, Dhanashree, that because you didn't satisfy the payment of 10% of pre-deposit, your admissibility of appeal and continuing it
That's what
itself
I'm saying. So I will go ahead and pay it on 19 lakh. It doesn't matter 18 lakh or 19 lakh. That 1 lakh doesn't matter for me. 10% on that 1 lakh. But I'm
Okay.
saying if it is 20 crores and then DRC7 demand after appropriation is 18 lakh, then what will you do? 20 crores versus 18 lakhs.
Now the question is it in a single issue you're doing this? See, numbers
Yeah.
doesn't matter, ma. Numbers doesn't matter.
Yes.
Principally, let's
Single
address
issue only.
this principally.
Same case. We've already paid some amount and the balance they're saying is 18 lakh. The gross is 20
See,
crores.
now you're giving a hypothetical situation, but my answer would
No,
continue
it's
to
not
remain.
hypothetical. I'm also saying we've paid so much. No, we've paid around 19 lakhs minus we've 19 sorry 20
Then
crores
you are
minus
calling
so
it
many
as
crores we've paid.
correct. Then you are calling it as undisputed demand, which you are paying off. Then disputed demand is only 18 lakhs according to you. Then you pay according to this. But if you are contesting the whole issue, wherein whatever paid also, you want to make it part of the proceedings, wherein if you get a favorable order, you will get the refund out of all your payments, then it's a different thing what I'm talking about. Hope you're able to differentiate, Dhanashree.
I'm still thinking about it. Please go
Okay,
ahead.
maybe we will visit it
Because it
once
is the
we
same issue and I have already paid some amount. We're just
Dhanashree, I
talking
think
about the
there are a lot
numbers
of
being
issues to
bigger.
discuss. Please, let's park this. We'll come back to it at
Yeah,
the end once we
please
finish
go
all that.
ahead. Go ahead. That's what I
Sure.
already said. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So, when we map these, now if we look at rule 142 2B, there 3A, there is a limited purpose for which the using of 3A, DRC 3A is specified. If we look at circular 224, para 4, which is issued in the context of making pre-deposits for the second appellate proceedings, wherein we are expecting the tribunal to be, commencing soon. But then officers have started with the recovery proceedings to address this issue. Circular 224 is issued, which says that if at all, you're contesting for the second appeal the proceedings at the second appellate stage, then you have to make a further pre-deposit of 10% by making this as adjustment to the demand liability, the 10%, which will later be considered as pre-deposit. So, applying the same analogy, like Venu sir, you raised up this issue during the previous discussion. Absolutely, I think we must do this instead of making a fresh payment of APL through APL1, mapping this DRC3 payments to 3A, and probably we'll have to manually make that pre-deposit 0, include all of this in statement of facts, annex all the DRC3 payments, DRC3A linkages as part of our appeal documents, and use this for making the pre-deposit. I think this is something we can absolutely look at. So in the instant case which I discussed, the other, in fact, if we total this up, the payments which is already made through DRC3 is coming up to 2 lakhs, where there has been even an excess payment over here. So there is no need to make fresh payment also to contest this whole demand. So probably Dhanashree, to address that, if the since I've already made that payment, that itself I will use as a pre-deposit. I will not even be required to make that 10% pre-deposit on the balance value in DRC7. But whatever 19 crore change, whatever you paid, that itself can transform into pre-deposit value. Of course, it will be more than 10%,
Can it be
substantially, maybe like 9%.
transformed into pre-deposit value? If that
That's
was
the
the
point.
case, then nothing.
That's the point. That's the point here. So, going by this principle of Circular 224 para 4, it may be worth a thing to do this, so that you will be reviving all your DRC3 payments also, what you did for this particular year, because the same issue has come up for the in the course of this proceedings. Now, these are a couple of things which I thought, we must dwell about while even doing pre-deposit. So many things to consider. Optimization, I already discussed. Now, a couple of issues we are going to discuss as far as this appeal matters is concerned. Now, single order is passed for multiple years, the same example what I took, but DRC7 is uploaded year-wise. How many appeals do we need to file? Answer, may I expect answer from the members?
It's a single DRC07?
No. Single OIO, 5 DRC7 year-wise.
Then 5 appeals.
5 appeals. And it is like few issues are there in few years, few issues. See, it is not like we can use probably use a single appeal document, because pre-deposit value changes, the issues changes, grounds will change. The point I'm driving here is quite a lot of diligence is required to analyze all of this and do it accordingly. So because I think of late all appeals, 99% of the appeals are being on the online mode. They're issuing APL2, they're mapping pre-deposit to the demand liability which is created. Orders are being uploaded online. All of these things progressing this way, I think it would be very, very safe to go with online filing. Otherwise, manual filing may pose quite a lot of risk, because it is not our intention to contest even that aspect, isn't it? When possible, let us go with the simpler approach, and don't complicate the matter by adding that issue also to be contested. So I think this is one point probably we may have to consider. Like I said, if there are differences between value, the demand value is different between order and DRC7, rectification has to be filed. Otherwise, we have to go with the OIO values for the pre-deposit computation. This issue also I discussed, or even issue number 4 we discussed. Now, one more issue I want to bring for the consideration of the members here. Let's say DRC3 payments are made, and time limit, okay, there are 2 situations. DRC3 payment made 6 months ago, DRC3 payment made 3 years ago. Now, the issue has come up for audit. and demand is confirmed. Let's keep the same example 2A, 3B. DRC3 payments also, cause of payment selected as 2A, 3B, all of that. Now, whatever payments we make, would it be a good idea to file off 3A, map it to the demand so that everything get consolidated into one, or make all of this a manual summary, put it in statement of facts, parallelly file RFD1 so that we don't miss the 2 years timeline. I'm sure Jatin sir would guide us in this aspect if we can adopt the principle explained in para 4 of circular 224 to even first appeal. So if we can definitely consider that, then I think we are going to revive a payment what we made. And if we are contesting the whole issue, that timeline of what 2 years we missed, I think that gets revived through this process. This is only submitted to make a consideration over here. Now, one more aspect I want to bring upon here for discussion is that what is the date of service as per relevant for us to file the appeal? I'm not talking about, the aspect. I'm sure, we have heard a lot of deliberation from Jatin sir about what is service. When it came to the knowledge of the SSC, that is the service. Absolutely. But the point I'm trying to drive here is, here I'm giving a situation where the impugned order or the order original is served through registered post on 10th January. But DRC7 is uploaded on portal on 25th January along with the order. Now this registered post is received, I've signed, I've taken note of it. On the portal, officer has chosen the date of service as 10th Jan. It is possible, even though he has uploaded DRC7 on 25th Jan, he can alter the date and he has put it up in as 10th Jan. Now, since the registered person has signed and received the registered post on 10th itself, but DRC7 obviously it came to his knowledge, let's say on 25th Jan itself, he checked, downloaded and all of that. But what do you think is the actual date of service? Is it the date of service of registered post on 10th Jan or DRC7 uploading date on 25th Jan? Members' views, please.
It will be 10th Jan, Anpuna, because 169 says any of the one of the mode. So we can take as a registered post, right?
Okay. I agree to your point. But if you think like this, then when we have to file appeal, it has to be through the DRC7 route, which has been uploaded on 25th Jan.
Yes, I agree with that it is uploaded in on 25th. But still, the date of receipt for computing that 3 months will be from the date of 10th Jan and not 25th. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
What
of
if the
169?
officer has changed it to 25th Jan?
Which one
I've
he has changed?
seen two cases. Okay. One
Ah.
case, registered post served on 10th Jan. Officer also changed on DRC7. Portal also says 10th Jan. But uploaded DRC7 on 25th Jan. Another case, he is retaining the DRC7 date in portal. Is our answer same for both the situations? Now, I agree to your point. I very much agree to your point. I also add a point here. If we carefully read, Rule 142, which talks about, about the service of order and all that. For DRC1, the words used is along with. So DRC1 has to be served along with SCM. But then for DRC7, the words used is electronic summary, which has to be put up. Probably. Because of these missing words, what we are contesting is order. And probably I also concur to your view that, since it is served through registered post on 10th Jan, that would be the ideal, date of service, because that is what we are contesting. And also because of this difference in the way rule is prescribed as well. Those are my thoughts. But then, this
recently, one of the officer was saying that they are coming out with a tool in the portal itself, where if they are uploading, automatically the mail also will be sent to the client and message will also be sent to the client. So that proper communication is sent to the client. So I think that will also help us.
Okay. I don't know. If I try to share another document, my screen sharing is going away. 1 second. Venu sir, some technical issue I'm facing. It says can't share the screen. Please start, try again later. Error code 105035.
I don't know, your co-host and settings are
Let me
normal.
try again.
Anyone
Shall I
can
log
share.
out and log in?
Yes,
Shall I
Manu.
log out and log in? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Venu sir, can you change my status to co-host? I can try sharing.
Yeah, you are a co-host.
Okay. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
I mean, just the point which I explained, I'm just trying to drive that over here, wherein, here the proper officer shall serve along with the notice DRC1. But when it comes to the wordings of DRC7, those are missing and it says a summary of the order, shall be uploaded electronically. So, I mean, this is something we have to give it a thought as to what do we consider as the date of service. But yes, when officer himself has uploaded as 25th Jan, I think it doesn't make sense for us to change it to 10th Jan prior to it. But then something to think upon. Now, this aspect I discussed, like, um, uh, uh, during our discussions, we also had a thought when the order is passed singly for 5 years and DRC7 is uploaded for year wise, instead of filing 5 appeals, is it a good thought to file off appeal manually by making a DRC3? Now you look at this, the way whole things are progressing now. Everything is tracked and traced on the portal. Even audit for that matter, they have given scope. I mean, they've given space of 10 documents to be uploaded at the ADT1 stage, DRC6. All of these things. I think the way it is progressing, it would be very safe for us to keep the appeals online, trace it and trace all the payments to the demand, so that when things progress further, it is all pooled and bundled up over there, not to miss anything, and not to leave room for these confusions and further issues. I think I would strongly say that filing appeal online would be a good thing to do, rather than filing it manually and adding one more issue to contesting it, probably. So this is one of the questions which is put up by our subgroup member, wherein appeal not filed within timelines, any solutions to contest the demand. See, I mean, if the reason is that it did not come to the knowledge of the assessee, I'm sure we've heard Jatin sir saying this so many times, that what is the purpose of serving the demand, serving the order? Is it only to fulfill the formality or to give a real opportunity to the assessee, to the registered person to take note of it and evaluate the rights he has in the framework of law? Now, if the reason is that it came to our knowledge only when the bank account was attached, then absolutely, like sir guides us, we can consider the date of service as the date of bank attachment, and then the fresh month time of 3 months starts over there. I'm sure even if it is not, uh, you know, um, even if it is not, um, I mean, technically, if we see wherein the date of the document and date of service are two different things, I think that is the answer to that. I want to share this case of strategy swap. There was a case wherein investigation was started for 3 years, 1718 to 1920. Inspection report was issued, and then after the role of investigating authority stopped there. Then assignment was issued by Joint Commissioner Admin to issue show cause notice, not to do adjudication, but to issue show cause notice based on inspection report. Huge demand was foisted for 1718 because that was becoming time barred. Hence, in haste, they issued the show cause notice. Audit wing issued the show cause notice, and a huge demand was foisted. Technical objection raised because audit officer, if he has to issue show cause notice under 65(7), he has to issue ADT 2 under 65(6), without which he will not have jurisdiction. So jurisdiction is questioned. That issue is not considered. Demand confirmed. Appeal is filed and hearing awaited. This is before Officer 1. Now, for the same party, 2021 audit was taken. Because we objected this, they started with ADT 1 procedure. 2021 audit was taken. Some ridiculous demand of 60 lakhs plus some unquantified amounts was proposed. We requested for the reassignment of adjudicating authority before JCCT admin, and it was granted. And wonder what? It was shifted to Officer 1. Although we had DRC 6 technical objections, during the PH, it was the way the conversation went is they understood that for everything we are going to raise a legal ground. The officer, in fact, I want to share this to say that how, like our mentors say, pen can be used as a sword, and it does miracles, friends, and it has worked wonders, and it has yielded result also. During PH, officer said, ma'am, I'm overloaded with burden of work. I can't come to High Court because there is no real demand in this case. I understand. Please submit documents. I will drop it. This was the discussion which happened during PH. And sample documents were submitted. Demand drastically reduced to 1 lakh. That demand was also not payable, but then the client decided to pay and get the proceedings concluded. Friends, the point I'm trying to drive here is when we question the legal aspects, they're also human beings. They will have their own challenges from their aspects. They will get startled kind, and we will see wonders working for us. I think we should make that step and proceed and taste this route. I think once we get used to this, we just start enjoying our work. Because many times I've seen discussions happening with professionals. We discuss a lot of legal aspects, but then, madam, finally, you know what happens? Client is also desperate. Things goes on settlement. But I think if we take out this step to choose this route, we will taste what wonders it can do. Now, for 1819, 1920, which is the continuation of the investigation proceedings, DRC 1 is awaited. Officer said that please provide on sample documents, madam, I will close. Now, we started with technical, but how the case progressed, we sensed that merit is going to work, and the matter got closed and the proceedings was completed with payment of the nominal demands. Strategy swap, this was one of the aspects. One more case I want to share about the strategy swap. The same case what I put up for the discussion of this gross demand versus net demand part. Now, obviously, we are going to take this technical grounds wherein only the 4 months have been cherry picked in the demand. But if we look at the case, it's a case purely on merits because all things which are not uploaded in 2A, they are made through DRC3 reversals. There are circular 193 certificates. All this has been produced during adjudication handled by some other, professional, but then they did not, they promised to drop it, but they did not drop it. So the strategy in appeal will be we will raise the technical grounds and without prejudice enclose all this as a transactional level RICO, probably with the CA certificate. And if it gets worked, I think the proceedings will close there. If not, we will always have the technical grounds to rely upon to take it up at the tribunal stage. Now, another challenge what we face is merits approach works easy at the initial stages at the adjudication level, but as the things progresses, if it is more about reconciliation, verification, I mean, see, absolutely, appellate authority does not have the power to redo the adjudication and all that. But then, if the strategy is that since everything is done, we want to go on merits, and if we want to see that if it works, let it work. But imagine some 3,000 transactions which needs to be verified or at the satisfaction of the appellate authority that these transactions are there in 2A and all of that. So probably for this reason, we made a summary because going level up using merits approach will become a little challenging for the authority to engage in these explanations and understand these reconciliations. So I think this kind of a probably a mixed strategy what we use to keep it as a reserve just in case this doesn't work probably is something we can look out. Now, very important topic I want to table up on the I want to table for discussion. Now, what is the limitation and the specific purposes for which rectification application can be used? We are seeing that rectification applications are being used, which are leading to review by the very same officer, which is not permitted in the law. Now, for a difference of OIO with DRC 7, absolutely rectification application is possible because it's a mistake apparent on record. In the same case, there was an issue wherein there was a difference between DRC 1 and DRC 7. So ridiculously, demand has been put up. 2A3B difference entirely shown under CGST head in DRC 1 and SGST head in DRC 7. Now, can this be a subject matter of rectification after DRC 7 is issued? Ideally, it has to be subject matter of ground because we have passed the DRC 1 stage and now order is also passed. The subject matter is only OIO versus DRC 7. So we have to be mindful about anything that is apparent also might not be a part of rectification unless it is at the current stage of the proceeding. That is something to think about. There was an ex parte order passed for a scrutiny case. Client did not, everything was sent on mail. Client did not notice all these, communication sent through mail, and demand is for an issue that there is difference between 3B and 9. Actually, if table 10 of GSTR 9 is examined and tax paid in the subsequent year, which is the negative value in table 9, that is tax payable is less, paid is more. It is absolutely matching and it has been discharged in the next year. But can we put this up in the rectification application? My answer is no, because this has to be contested in appeal. This, we cannot say that it's a mistake apparent on record because this requires verification by the officer. It is not merely having a look at GSTR 9, this can be done. So I think we have to be very careful about picking our choices for what should form part of the rectification application and what should not. Another issue is the OIO has summarized a demand, let's say 20 lakh rupees, and the transaction specific details are based on annexure to audit observation, which is bearing a reference in OIO. So OIO gives reference to this annexure to audit observations and says that based on this annexure, this demand is summarized as follows. Now there is a double counting of one of the transactions in that annexure. Can we say that rectification is possible? Interestingly, although we put this up as part, there were other issues in the rectification application. So we included this also to see if it works. But then the officer said that this tantamounts to review. I don't want to touch it. You take it up under the appellate stage. I would still think that since this has a bearing to annexure, reference to annexure, and it is all computed out of it, it would still be a mistake apparent on record. But since relief is not allowed, we are making the pre-deposit on the gross amount and then contesting this moving further. One more case wherein we use this this rectification application per se. Same tax period, same issue. GSTR 7 versus 3B difference. Audit officer has first issued SCN and passed the order. Within a month gap, ex parte order has been passed by the scrutiny officer also on the same matter for the same year. Now, client has received these mails 2021, 2021. So the client thought it is the same DRC one, but he was not mindful of going, downloading, and comparing whether by same officer, different officer. All this led to ex parte order by the scrutiny officer. But rectification application was filed and the proceeding was dropped because the audit already took over and the matter was sub judice. And of course, because time limit to file the appeal within 3 months is not happened. One. Very sorry. Yeah, so the next issue for consideration is party name is incorrect. GST and all other details are correct. They've added some more suffix to the party name where it is a partnership firm. They've included as private limited company, probably kind of a copy paste error. Is it okay to keep quiet, not putting up the rectification application, or because the party name is incorrect, should we still proceed to file a rectification application? My thoughts on this, if because in this case DRC 7 was all right because it was served on portal, party has the same name and all that. So we did not consider this for filing a rectification application, but no harm in doing so. We may file it and get the party name rectified as well. But I don't think it will have a substantial impact for continuity of the proceedings per se, is my thoughts on this. Now, a few more issues I want to discuss as far as this rectification application is concerned. We already discussed the limited purposes for which this can be used. Shouldn't tantamount to review by the same officer. Now, for a July 17-18 tax period, now DRC 7 is dated 31st Jan. Okay, we filed the rectification application on 5th February. DRC 8 date is 20th March. Can we say because within 7th of February, the order should have been issued, and once rectification is passed, DRC 8 is passed, can we say it became time barred? Because once DRC 8 is issued, the date of, for the computing the date of service, 3 months starts from the date of DRC 8 and not from DRC 7. But can we principally say that this we apply universally across all provisions? I mean, during a conversation with Jatin sir, he was sharing that we have to give the law the reading such that both the provisions can be harmoniously sustained per se, thereby for the purpose of filing the appeal, the date relevant of 3 months is from the date of DRC 8, but for the purpose of sustainability of the order, I think there is no barring under 7410 because the original order was served well within the prescribed time limit. So that was the understanding and knowledge sharing what happened during that conversation. Now, will the answer to question number 2 about change if rectification is carried out by the officer suo motu, wherein he had missed quantifying demand pertaining to one of the issues, and DRC 8 is served after 7410 timeline. If suo motu officer has filed the rectification application, to my mind, the new issue that is added will become time barred. The original issues that were there in DRC 7, that will continue to be valid. This is my thoughts on it. The second addition to this is, instead of an issue which is missed, the officer re-arrived at the interest and penalty quantification instead of the basic demand. Would the answer change? Here again, I would say, since the basic issue is not changed in the rectification order, although it is suo motu done by the officer, the demand for the original issues which are part of DRC 7 will continue, and DRC 8 will become time barred. Again, as far as the date of service is concerned, we can safely consider it as DRC 8 date. Now, a very important question to address, again, this was asked by one of the members of our subgroup, wherein if DRC 8 is not issued, will the time limit to file appeal under 107 gets automatically extended till the time it is addressed by the officer? The answer is a scaring no. So that is why we have to be very mindful that if we apply for rectification, we should be careful about the time limit getting elapsed under 107. That is the 3 months plus 1 month of COD. And we should withdraw the rectification application. Sir always talks about this forum shopping. We can't have this forum also and that forum also. So we have to withdraw. First, we file the rectification application so that we asked for the remedy, but officer did not provide the remedy. We withdraw the application, make changes in pre-deposit manually, include all of this in the statement of facts, and file within the time limit of the date of the service of the order, not waiting to close on this rectification application. Otherwise, we will be risking. Now, we can't even take a stand that it came to our knowledge late, because we have filed a rectification application which is indicative of the date of service of the order. Also, I think we are, making the case rule out of all the remedies per se. Of course, the only persuasion might be, to take the writ remedy that is available, but look at it, it may not be feasible and possible to take up these matters, all such matters at the as for the writ remedy. So we have to be very careful about this aspect. Whenever we file rectification application, we have to make parallel preparations to file the appeal on time. Now, I would like to cover this responding for other communications. One interesting aspect, one case which has come up, and this is the, to which section is it mapped? There is no specification of any section per se, but the one para said that you are hereby requested to clarify the above aspect of alleged violation of provisions of Rule 9610, wherein some IGST refund amount of 2.15 crores along with interest to the government should repay it at the earliest. This is the paragraph which said in that communication. Now, we have to use a needle when it works instead of taking a sword. We can make technical objections and carry it through in the matter, all that. But a simple strategy worked in this case, where in 2 lines this was replied, saying that we don't know what is this Rule 9610, it is not applicable to us, something like we have not done anything as informed in the letter. This kindly drop the proceeding. The simple letter was filed. It's been 1.5 to 2 years, I think, since we filed this letter, and there is no comeback from the officer. So I think the approach we should start to answering any communications or any notices for that matter is to see what works. Now, I want to quickly cover few case studies, and then conclude my presentation with few takeaways from today's discussion. Now, this is a preliminary stage scrutiny case. Now, if we decide we don't want to use the merits approach, then there is no point even in replying in ASMT 11. We may straight away wait for the show cause notice to come and then start the technical approach. I don't think putting up, I mean, again, case to case it varies, but if at all technical approach, it is better to start from the adjudication stage and not at the ASMT 10 stage. If merits approach, doing a facts check will help decide. Now, this was an issue taken up in ASMT 10, wherein the reverse charge short payment to some value was said, wherein 3B had, the discharge in 3.1D of 3B had a certain value, but claim of ITC in 4A3 had a higher value. Now, on a quick understanding, what came to our knowledge is that in the returns, while reporting 4A5 for that particular month, 4A3 and 4A5 got interchanged alternatively. But if we did the reconciliation in terms of value, there were some more differences which are coming in. Then, so we thought that we will keep the answer very light. We will put a descriptive answer and let's see if it works. We said that it was interchangeably used. That's all. And that has been rectified in 9 in table 6, 9 enclosed. That's all we did. And it was taken. This point was taken and ASMT 12 was issued. So the problem with us, what I feel is that because we engage with the client data day in and day out, we know a lot of information and we try to, our mind becomes blinded with so much of information that we tend to give a lot of numerical information, reconciliations and all that. Not every time it might be a good idea to do that. Sometimes descriptive, keeping it very simple and understandable will definitely yield results. This is something I want to drive home. Now, another case, there was a penalty of 50,000 for belated filing of 99C. Then we checked the facts. 99C was filed late and late fee of 60,000 was already discharged. I know that we can take the technical grounds and argument saying that penalty, should be not be routinely done, animus has to be proved and all that. But then I thought we will use a psychological strategy and see if it works. We put up a screenshot of late fee paid, which amounted to 60,800 and put that, it is double punitive measures and all that, kind of to impact psychologically. And officer did give the relief and ASMT 12 was issued to drop it. Another issue that was asked was explanation for DRC3 payments was asked. Now, 2 of the DRC3s did not belong to 2021, the subject periods. Now, initially, I thought I will answer that, okay, DRC3 pertains to 17-18 and 18-19. So, then I rephrased it. I said, does not pertain to FY 2021. Now, you think about this. In our answers, are we feeding officers to prompt them to take additional information or relieving them the burden that, okay, this is not coming to this particular year, so there are other things to look in. So this explanation worked and ASMT 12 was received. Another issue, we know that GSTR 1A has come into place and whatever errors happen in GSTR 1 because of all the system related mapping that is happening, an opportunity is provided through GSTR 1A wherein after filing 1, before filing 3B, if you notice any errors for that particular tax period, you can amend using 1A. Now, the same thing happened, but the algorithms in the softwares used by the officers are not yet updated to take care of GSTR 1As. Immediately, a recent return which was filed, but some errors noticed and GSTR 1A was filed. Ignoring the GSTR 1A that is filed, demand was put up, ASMT 10 was issued. Now, if I had said that, this particular transaction was, erroneously reported and all that, they will probe into the matter. So, we decided to emphasize the legal provision. Now, what is the legal provision? This particular notification 12/2024 GSTR 1A was introduced. Using that to rectify any errors permitted, the typographical errors was rectified. So here we are not giving away the detailed facts, but only emphasizing on the legal provision. So I mean, this result is awaited, but then we should have a reason for why we are using this strategy so that we are able to decide on how to proceed with the case. Standard 2A 3B issue, but multiple answers for each case. It cannot be universally the same answer, isn't it? We should also see which year. Now it was for year 21-22. 2A 3B had a difference, but 2B 3B did not have a difference. In fact, 2B was more, 3B was less. So instead of giving a detailed reconciliation, we only said this notification 82/20 from 21-22, 2B is what matters, and the registered person has filed claimed the 3B ITC the 3B as per 2B's in accordance with notification. We gave some summary numbers just to impress upon that 2B is more, 3B is less. That's all. No detailed reconciliation. And ASMT 12 was issued, things were dropped. Coming to the diligence and audit per se, this I discussed source of data and sanity check, and probably, keeping things online. It will also show the conviction we have and the data we are sharing, invoices, copies, everything. We can confidently share on mail and all that. Otherwise carrying the files physically, showing all this, we shouldn't hesitate that, oh, I'm sending on mail, it will be there on record. See, that also shows out that we are only using the legal course to attend the proceedings. So we should have minimalistic interactions only during the personal hearing is when we should make our appearance. Otherwise, it should all be through formal modes of communication with all acknowledgements taken on record. I also covered this initially, and also financial statements. Most of the times they ask for the copy of financial statements. It is important to review them and share. See, because today, especially in the company financial statements, lot of information about creditor aging, debtor aging, all that is there. Instead of giving all those details as is, complicating the matter and drawing unnecessary attention, give limited P&L and notes to the P&L, balance sheet and notes to balance sheet. So even we might think that it is a simple financial statements which are being shared, but there is some care to be exercised so that the matter might get complicated on the later stage. Now, imagine two scenarios. We give only the balance sheet values with schedules, whatever it is. And officer says that on the entire closing credit balance, I will demand an ITC reversal of 18%. Second situation where you're also giving this new information reported in the company, financial statements wherein creditor aging is also part of it, and there it is clearly stated that values beyond 1 year. All those details are put up over there. So now to say that entire one, the values, of course, best judgment ground will still come to a rescue. But then why should we feed in this additional information which is going to be used against us as evidence probably? So these are a couple of things we must be mindful while providing during audit. Many times we see that the department provides some formats, or they are asking for information like provide for payment, the ITC claimed details along with dates of payments to the creditors in a register. Now, is it required either under section 35 read with rule 56? Is any format prescribed like this to be maintained? It only says maintain ITC register, supplier ledgers. If you want to provide, if you think that merits approach is going to work with a minimal implication about this rule 37 reversals, then please proceed with giving the closing balance values with the ledger abstracts. We are not required to prepare any format because it will take a lot of time to do all of this. Again, sanity check, maker, checker, all of these things. We're not obliged to do all of these things. it is easier to contest on technical aspects where on the entire amount single rate is applied, it will show that they have not completed the audit but doing best judgment. So these things we may have to keep in mind while providing details for audit. Now, there's one issue initially we faced in Tally. I'm sure most of us will connect to this issue, wherein whenever there was in a single invoice taxable and exempt goods, of course, bill of supply, invoice come bill of supply rule 46A was introduced a little later. But initially, many people were merging these transactions and reporting in B2B in table 4 of GSTR 1. Please forgive my giving references to the tables. And 3.1C of 3B, wherein exempted values are reported. So Tally used to pick up this taxable value, including exempt supplies, while reporting for GSTR 1. But in 3B, we would get the separated values. So this led to a difference. And while providing details for audit, my team also did a mistake. I also missed not reviewing it. This went as per Tally GSTR 1 data. Now that point itself was took up, and they said that your register says taxable value so much and taxes. No matter we produce sample invoice copies, they were not ready to accept it as per Rule 46A. All that was ignored. Reply to show cause notice not accepted. Grounds on merits not considered. Now we have taken absolutely technical grounds for appeal, saying that the ingredients of supply levy not established. Of course, hearing is awaited. Now, what could have been probably not travel to this stage just in case we had exercised diligence while submitting the details of the sales register led over here. So I think, I feel sometimes, guilty about this matter that, we didn't think from this perspective and it ended here. So yes, I mean, these things happen. We also are human beings. We learn from it. But then this is what we learned from a mistake and we're mindful for the next submissions. Again, this is another issue which I already said that, truth is that the same invoice is there in ITC ledger and on the 2A, but because of the typo error, officer not ready to accept this, and the fact that is there on the demand order is that it is not in 2A. So I think, this we look up what we are very, mindful about now to take up the invoice details from the 2A, mapping it to the ITC register. This helps in avoiding unnecessary issues. There was another issue which I want to share the experience of how it worked. Now, the issue taken up was there was director's remuneration of some 2.43 crores, and on that RCM at 18%, quoting this, RCM notification 13/17 was proposed. Then we placed on record the circular 140, which says that whenever this TDS deductions are made under section 192, that will be like a survey, contract of service and not contract for service. Hence, it is straightly covered under Schedule 3. None of the submissions were accepted and demand was confirmed. The point that officer was stressing upon was that director's remuneration, the word used is remuneration and not salary. Hence, it doesn't cover here. That was the findings in the order. Now, same officer, same issue, but for a different client. Now, I understood that this officer is not satisfied about the usage of the word remuneration. Then I had to give a reference of section 197 of the Companies Act, where the word managerial remuneration is used even to cover the salary payments to directors and managers. This point was taken by the officer, although same issue, same officer, but for a different client. This client always has been lucky, all the years audit taken up, but ADT2 is, show cause notice issued, but DRC7 has been 0. So same officer, same issue, but for a different client, this kind of a ground worked. Now, the point I'm trying to drive here is that we should be open in our mind to think that, okay, what happened previously? So what might work now? So if with this approach we proceed, new things will emerge. We will be able to try out new things and explore whether these are going to work. Now, some issues in audits. We are seeing that to revive the time period under for the years 18, 19, 19, 20 and 2021, department has started issuing either directly show cause notices under 74 or even ADT ones are being issued for which 73 time limits are over. Now the question is, are we obliged to submit documents for audit? Sir has shared one paragraph which we may include in the reply. I want to share it for the benefit of all the members over here. We respectfully decline to submit the requested information due to passing of limitation under 7310. Further, no presumption can be raised or relied upon at the stage of 65.1 that demands, if any, will be sustainable under 74. Please take the above on record and withdraw proceedings proposed under intimation to us. So this is the paragraph which I'm sure we will help us so that for the now they have taken up audit for 6 years. The first 3 years we will just include this paragraph and not give any details because we know that giving details means some issues will be taken up, and why should be complicated when things can work at this stage, I mean with this thing itself. The second issue I want to discuss here is ADT ones are issued when ASMT 10s have been issued for the tax periods which have even culminated to SCN. I think we should appreciate and understand one point here that unlike income tax law, here it doesn't matter for the same year how many ever officers take up the proceedings. What matters is it the same issue which has been taken up? If the issues taken up is different and time limit either under 73 or 74 is not over, the officers are free to proceed, take up those matters although they belong to the same tax periods. Now, will the discussion what we did change if the issue is same, demand is confirmed, and appeal is preferred, or it is still ongoing in the adjudication process or whatever? So the list starts once the SCN is issued. So the point for us to consider is it the same issue which is there? And is it being contested? If these two things are there, then we can say that the matter is already is sub judice, and hence the other authority who came late will not have jurisdiction once SCN is issued. If the issue is different, they are well within their jurisdiction and limits to proceed with this. We also see that the ADT one, especially from the central department, they seek the details of notices issued, submissions made, and the outcome of the proceedings. Is RP obliged to submit all these details? Now, audit has a wider coverage to ask any document available under any law at the disposal of the auditee. Yes, they have the power to ask for this. But is RP obliged to submit all this? Let's say we say that these details are not available unless they're available on the portal, or we may also simply say that all details are uploaded on the portal. It is available for the officer's disposal. Now, the issue is sometimes from the details what we give, they may sense some, like I said, many of the replies we may have done some admissions in the reply unnoticingly, or out of a miss, or all of those things. Maybe they can pick up that admission point in our replies and create an audit observation and carry it through. So giving details is always not a great idea. At the same time, we have to respectfully decline providing these details. Probably we can say that all the details have been available on the common portal, and probably stop over there. This is another question which it came up through our subgroup discussion. So, can a revisionary authority reopen the proceedings based on ADT 2? Now, 108 uses the word decision or order. When 108 uses the word decision or order, if ADT 2 is kept as the basis to reopen the proceedings, I think the revisionary authority will not have jurisdiction, because ADT 2 is a final audit report and we cannot cover it under either a decision or an order. Definitely it is not an order for sure. It cannot also be treated as decision because it is a report based on the findings. It is not a decision from an authority. So my submissions are that ADT2 cannot be the basis for reopening revisionary proceedings. DGGI investigating possible tax evasion, summons issued, subsequently audit notice issued, ADT2 received without any adverse findings. Can notice in 73-74 be subsequently issued based on the findings of DGGI? This again, I will correlate my reply to my previous discussion wherein said that if issue is not previously taken up and there is time limit within 73 or 74, and for 74 if those ingredients are proven, then there is no bar that after a gap, substantial gap, the show cause notice is issued. That is absolutely fine, provided it falls within 7310 or 7410 time limit. Now, this is another example. I would like to take probably a couple of more slides and then we can open the forum for discussion. Short declaration of outward supply. Now, this was a... One second. A short declared outward supply, wherein this was a RWA case, the Resident Welfare Association case, wherein the show cause notice had a point that short declared outward supply. They said that the revenue receipts of outward supply declared in financial statements. Now, these data differences, I'm sure we could have gone on technical grounds, but after evaluation, it came to our knowledge that this is they have picked up the data from receipts and payments account instead of income and expenditure account. Now, receipts and payment account, it will include GST also. So they're trying to levy GST on GST. So these points were brought in and we did a transactional level mapping of the, one second. We did a transactional level mapping of INE versus the RNP. So if we look at it, we extracted the P&L data and RNP data, and based on this transactional level mapping, whatever differences were identified, that was put up in multiple buckets, and then we could arrive at the nil difference between the IND and RNP. This was very well received and relief was granted, wherein invoiced in 2021 but amount not received in the same year, then invoiced previously but received in... So there are so many differences. We all know it much better why there will be difference between RNP and IND, and this worked. And diligence in adjudication. So notice under 74, if any notice is issued under 74, I think we should include one paragraph without fail about 75(2) relief with the reference to Circular 185. Now, some 4 points to consider here. Again, I learned it from deliberation, listening to a deliberation from Jatin sir, wherein once we include this relief for Rule 35 inclusive basis, then tax is not collected. Proving tax evasion will be very difficult. Wherever there is alternative interpretation possible, again, it cannot get covered under 74. On record-based verification, so my own data they are verifying and identifying the differences. So tax evasion is not possible. So if we put up these things, then at the later stage when we get 75(2) relief, it is many of the demands will get vanished. So it is also equally important to have a little bit of domain knowledge. I want to share one example wherein it was a hospital case where the demand was put up on discount allowed. Now, discount allowed is owing to that insurance claim, which the company initially agreed, and after evaluation of the documents, then part of the insurance claim that was agreed at the time of discharge of the patients was disallowed, that the entity is booking it as discount allowed. Now, the officer proposed to demand tax on this discount allowed also. So then it was, the things were going on the merits basis, and on sample documents, while attending PH, I think whatever issue is there, if we have the domain knowledge of that particular issue, the business side of it, if we understand sample documents, if we check what exactly composes that ledger entry, underlying documents, what it composes, I think it helps us and gives that conviction to, argue that matter better. And this kind of a domain knowledge, like I said, when the question was asked, what exactly is this discount allowed? I explained it this way. Then officer said, how come a patient will be allowed to discharge without insurance company settling it? So then we produced the documents, one sample set of documents which said that at the time of discharge, it will be evaluated. Patient's claim will be evaluated. One initial acceptance will be given by the insurance agency because processing will take time. Till then, patient cannot be held in the hospital. And once the preliminary claim is agreed upon, patient will be discharged. Later on, if on review, some of the claims are, not allowable by the insurance company, that they will disallow and net claim they will process. Now, this differential value they were recording as discount allowed. So I think, the point I'm driving here is we should have a thorough grip over the issues which we are going to discuss as part of the adjudication process, what we're representing in the adjudication process. I think I have, yeah. So yeah, I think this last slide, and then I will open the questions, any more questions for this thing. So can a fresh issue be taken up in SCN which is not raised in audit observations or ADT2? The answer is yes, because although ADT2 is required before issuance of SCN, if the issue is not previously included, now in SCN again you are getting one more opportunity to put up your matter. So probably we cannot take an argument that what is not included in ADT2 cannot be freshly taken up in SCN, provided that time limit for issuance of SCN is still there upon. Now, second point, after issuance of ADT2, there is a change in audit officer and he seeks fresh details to do the audit instead of proceeding with the SCN. Does he have the jurisdiction and how to respond? This matter of, functus officio is a principle wherein when an officer is given with a duty to do a certain thing, his jurisdiction will expire once he finishes that duty what he has done. So this paragraph was included, and after this reply, he stopped asking further details and he's issued a show cause notice with the available details, what was responded previously to audit observations and all of that. Can adjudication be conducted by the same officer who did investigation or audit? Do we question and does it work? How does it help? This does wonders. Like I explained in the previous case where inspection, that officer 1, officer 2 and all that, we raise this issue. Nemo judex in causa sua. We know that nobody can be a judge for his own case. So quorum non judice, that is, there is a lack of jurisdiction because there is no judge once it is the same officer over there. So with this quotings, we put this up before the Joint Commissioner Admin, requesting for the reassignment of the adjudication authority, and it was granted. And then I explained you in previously how the case proceeded. They realized that for everything we're going to raise the legal grounds. They realized nothing will work out, and those ridiculous demands were dropped and some small demand was put up, which was closed. So the point I'm trying to drive here is when we raise these legal questions at the right point in time, the results that that can be yielded are, definitely sometimes mind-boggling for that matter. One more interesting issue which I want to put this up for discussion is, can DRC1 be issued under 73 or 74 against RFD 6? Let's say RFD 8 is not issued, or should it be taken up through APL 3, that is 1072 route? Now, we have Circular 3/2022 issued by, instructions which are issued. Sorry, it's not circular. Instructions which are issued which say that while processing any refund, after RFD 6 is done, refund is processed, post-audit cell is there. That audit cell should take up the matter, review the refunds within 3 months, and within 1 month, the issue to be put up before the proper officer, so that if required, appeal needs to be filed, because they have a time frame of 6 + 1 month to file the appeal under 1072. So that instructions is pretty clear that if at all it's a RFD 6 matter, then the questioning of that refund has to be through 1072 route and not 7374 route. Now a question comes up, if such is the case, why then 7374 provides for determination of erroneous refund, payment of erroneous refunds which has happened. Now, who is the proper officer for DRC, RFD 6? It is the jurisdictional proper officer. Now, who is the proper officer for 73? Again, 73, 74, it's the jurisdictional proper officer in most of the times, or of the equal cadre. So, if this matter is taken up under 73, 74, it tantamounts to review of the work by himself, which is not permissible. We also have that Patanjali Foods case wherein this matter was, considered. In fact, this issue was suggested by Mukul to be taken up, and that instruction case also he had shared it. It's a very interesting aspect to note that whatever refund orders, even if they want to contest it, it has to be through 1072 route and not through 73, 74 route. But that keeps us this question on the table, that then why then this erroneous refunds is also part of 73, 74. This is something we will address at the end. We will take it up for discussion. Whether filing DRC6 reply online is quintessential. See, I think, like I said, although it may not be mandatory, routing everything through portal is a good idea because it will have a track and trace mechanism, and everything is available online. It should not since everything is progressing online, it will be a good idea, and it's a good thing to file things online and keep it available on the online portal. Again, SCN is a single one, but DRC1 is multiple years. Is it a single proceeding or multiple proceedings? Given that we need to file multiple appeals, it gets translated into multiple proceedings, and hence we have to take care about it. Now, if demand values are different in SCN and DRC1, better to address it by filing a rectification application, so that as things progresses with OYO and DRC7, we should not worry about the pre-deposit value to become an issue. So better raise rectification at the earliest possible stage so that we get time for order and we do not get carried away by refund application filing at the stage of order being passed and that time. Now, another issue again raised by one of our team members, if technical grounds are not taken at adjudication stage, can it be taken at appeal stage? I want to read one paragraph from this, show cause notice book, where it is said that Juhi Industries case, the summary of that case is provided here as to how important it is to follow the due process, wherein in that case, show cause notice was issued, adjudication was conducted, orders passed, rectification application filed, for certain errors, rectification entertained, and changes made to the order. After all this, then the matter was agitated in the High Court that there has been failure to the due process, and still it was admitted. So, so I think the answer to this is yes, definitely. Even at a later stage, we may take technical grounds. Of course, we have Rule 112, which we need to keep in mind, which says that additional evidence not permissible if it is not produced during the adjudication stage, but additional ground could be taken, and additional evidence pertaining to that new ground could always be introduced at the later stage, is something to be considered. SCN has 2 issues, order has 4 issues. Can it be contested? Absolutely yes. 75(7) clearly bars either if the value is different or the grounds are different. What is taken up between SCN and order, I think squarely if it will fit over there, and we can take it ahead, quoting 75(7). The corrigendum issued to SCN after time limit, is the corrigendum or SCN valid? Whatever has been issued after time limit, I think to that extent it will get time barred. So the original SCN will retain as is. Suppose if the corrigendum is issued within time limit, then the date of service of SCN itself will have to be treated as the issue of the date, the corrigendum date, so that if that does not fall within the time limit, then again, it becomes time barred. So that needs to be kept in mind, is what are my thoughts about it. So I think I discussed both of these things. Well, these are all I already covered. My closing remarks. I think practicing GST litigation in a cleaner way is very much a possibility, and it absolutely works. And I take up this opportunity to probably motivate young professionals in our group to try out this route and taste this route, wherein we really start enjoying the work we do. And I always believe that simply knowing is not doing. We listen to so many things, but only when we implement and try upon things, we get a grip over it. So we should take up more and more interesting cases, whatever it comes, and get a grip over the matter. We should decide, kind of deciding the strategic approach and all that. What I've seen is that merits approach works best in the initial stages, and technical approach will be better at the higher stages. But we have to include this so that we should not be deprived of an opportunity to introduce these matters as we proceed further. I think, with these remarks, I would say that let's all gear up for the tribunal work. Let's enjoy the work, what we pick up. Let's embrace it with new learnings every case brings in. Thank you, one and all, for your patient listening. It was quite a long deliberation, I believe. And then I really want to say that from the bottom of my heart, we're all indebted to Jatin sir for his kindness, and he's just a call away helping us out, professionals, and extremely grateful for all of that. Thank you very much. I'm open to take up questions. Any questions?
Annapurna madam,
Yes,
it
sir.
was a nice presentation. I have a
Thank you.
couple of points.
Yes, sir.
If you can go to your swap strategy case study number 1,
Okay.
there you have mentioned about taking up the new issue. I mean, inspection conducted by inspecting authority.
Correct. Correct. Huh.
Purpose notice issued by assignment issued by JCCT admin.
Yeah.
So the officer who receives this assignment can issue show cause notice is the question.
No, see, this JCCT admin has issued assignment to audit officer.
Correct. Understood.
Huh.
There is one more one particular thing what I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
There's a concept called as borrowed satisfaction.
Correct.
The borrowed satisfaction is where inspecting authority is conducting the investigation, and based on that inspection report, some
report.
other officer,
Correct.
some other officer cannot take up the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
issuance of show cause notice.
I missed that point. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's another point what I wanted to, that's all I guess. 2A, 3B we have discussed.
Yeah.
One point of view, 183
Hmm.
circular you have made a reference. There's this 5 lakh limit that has been specified in the circular.
Yeah.
So the interpretation is 5 lakh CGST plus 5 lakh SGST.
See, but I would think that if now you think from the adjudication authority or the appellate authority per se, they will feel more comfortable with the CA certificate in place than a mere tax paid confirmation letter, because we are getting complaints that all that is cooked up as well.
Yeah, that is
So,
there.
yeah,
That's
so
true, but
CA certificate with UDIN will, of course, it's very risky on the professionals to sign saying that this particular thing has been paid. That apart, but if that is going to work, and if the statutory auditor agrees to issue such a certificate, that will give a comfort level to the appellate authority, and kind of
no, they are insisting for CA certificates, even though there is, without any monetary limit. But I was on the interpretation.
Yeah.
Coming back
Okay.
to the concept of borrowed satisfaction, when we go to issues and adjudication, you had one slide, no, madam?
Yeah.
In that first question, you mentioned about can a fresh issue be taken up in SN which is not raised in audit observation or ADT2?
Yeah.
I have a different point of view here. When
Yes,
there
sir,
is
please.
when there is no ADT2, I mean the ADT2 is not mentioning about any of the issue. That issue cannot, one particular issue, that issue cannot be taken up in show cause notice is the view.
Mm.
So because there is nothing that the due process that whatever has to be followed cannot be said to have been followed if it is not forming part of AD2, and then we have a show cause notice on that particular issue, because there is an inquiry has to be conducted on that particular issue, and the assessee has to be given an opportunity to present his case before getting into
Agreed,
show
sir.
cause notice.
Agreed, sir. 65.4, 65.6 and 60,
Yeah.
65.7 should take. But then I
Yeah.
was wondering, see, taking this ground as a standalone basis might not, we might not still feel confident. Maybe we will take up this, but then
I
parallelly,
agree.
take up alternative grounds as well is what I would think, sir. Yeah.
So
Cannot
that
be sole
these are
ground.
yeah.
We might be risking if we are taking it as a sole ground.
So these are the couple of points.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's all. Otherwise, a wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Any other questions? And any other thoughts on some of the points which I had raised initially? Either about that gross demand, Dhanashree, I thought we will revisit at the end. I'm not sure if Dhanashree is still there. I think Dhanashree is left. Yeah. So other members, any thoughts like, whenever it is a pre-deposit with respect to gross demand versus net demand, I think that is something we have to consider, isn't it?
Yes. The
Let me see what is there in the chat box. Okay.
right.
Oh, I think no more questions. Venu sir says he has a flight and he has to drop off, and many members are also dropping off. I think I've covered whatever I thought is fit for the discussion. Chandrasekhar sir, your voice is we're losing your voice in between. We're not able to understand what you're speaking.
Are you able to hear?
Yeah, now I can hear. Yeah.
This is with regard to the whatever you spoke about the gross and net demand.
Yeah.
Under the earlier service tax regime, we had issues that if a TR6 challan was being set off or not, we were not aware of that. Is what the adjudicating authorities were taking a call on that point. Whereas here, we did not. I think under the GST regime, we may not have that issue because generally for every DRC 03, there is a linking as such which could be identified. So probably it could become a little more easier compared to the earlier.
No, but if you look at the DRC 3A, some flash notes come on the portal. DRC 3A says if it is used for the purpose of DRC 3 under the cause of payment used for annual return and reconciliation statement, then it cannot be appropriated for DRC 3A. I mean, I don't think portal should restrict it that way, because if the same issue is considered in the demand and we have already discharged, it should allow us to, map it to 3A. But law does not place any such restriction, but portal gives those flash notes saying that, for these things, DRC 3A cannot be used, all that.
Okay. Noted.
Yeah.
But Annapurna, that has been changed now, no?
Now, recently I checked, we were filing a DRC 3A. It gave a flash of, one second, some 3-4 issues it gave. One is this: 3 filed under annual return and reconciliation statement categories shall not be eligible for offset. DRC 3 shall be offset to the extent of outstanding demand if outstanding demand is less than available balance in DRC 3. Balance calculated in adjustment of demand screen are for the purpose of user knowledge, and the offset shall actually happen only once. Okay, this is fine. DRC 3 utilized for reclaiming, for claiming recredit of ITC in TMT 3A cannot be considered for offset. Okay, this is fair enough. But the first one, annual return and reconciliation statement, there's a flash note which comes up. Any more aspects should we discuss, or shall we wrap it up? It's 10:10 already. Fine. So I take silence as Maunam Sammati Lakshana. Thank you very much for providing this opportunity and being patient enough for almost 2+ hours to discuss on this and deliberate on this topic. Thank you once again.
Madam, lot of compliments. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good
Good day.
effort.
Good
Thank
day.
you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.